we have all seen over the last few years this kind of bizarre need for Republicans to not just believe that Donald Trump's a good example of a Republican, a great president for their cause, tax cuts and yada yada, kind of trickle down economics, the standardized Republican thing that's just more capable as a human being of getting it through because he's got charisma or something like that. I mean, that would be an argument, however ridiculous, because I find him to be the most repulsive person to listen to, this side of Jim Jordan. That, you know what I mean? Just insofar as human to human interaction, and understand that the Apprentice and the Celebrity Apprentice, the root of those shows and what their success was based on was not, here's this successful guy helping people learn how to become successful. People write books to do that, or they hold seminars to teach you a skill that you may not have on sales or what have you. The root of those shows and the success of those shows, in many ways, as is The Bachelor or Survivor, the root is embarrassment. The root is, this is a wholly embarrassing circumstance where it works like a game show, there is a winner, but what you really tune in for is to see someone shamed, essentially. And the basic shame of Survivor is all the crap they have to do that was borderline fear factor, and them cutting against each other and someone being called out by a group in a very high school way. The Bachelor's about who gets rejected, not about who gets together. That's why there's one episode at the end with the actual joining of the couple that becomes a farce later on. The entirety of the series is the embarrassed rejection of every member of those people over the course of the show. The same thing is true of The Apprentice. That what you really are tuning in for, it's kind of, this is one of the tricks of television, is give the audience what they want, not what they think they want. Because if you give them what they think they want, show's over. If Scully and Mulder kiss, the show is done. You have to almost. The minute you get to where you've solved it, the audience doesn't tune in to see it solved. They tune in for the tension of, will it be solved? The excitement of, maybe this is the day. And by dragging that out, that's how you keep them on the line. The same thing is true of these reality shows that are, the Gene Simmons Family Jewels and those kind of shows. Those are referred to as docu-soaps. Meaning that they're fake documentary, meaning it's real people. They're using their real names, but they're soaps. They're crafted. They're written. The storylines are fake. They make up conflict. They artificially create circumstances where they do. The Kardashians are built on that entire function. The reality show, the game show that Trump hosted, The Apprentice and the Celebrity Apprentice, is about the and the reason they went to the Celebrity Apprentice was because it became less and less embarrassing for the average citizen to be told what to do by Donald Trump. It's a little silly and it's stupid, but you're not going to actually be effective or, learning from him. And people were aware of that watching the show. So you bring in celebrities who actually have more weight and more, in a lot of ways, more business skill than Trump does, many of whom were more financially successful, and then to have them stand on a street corner trying to sell hot dogs or what nonsense that Trump sends them to do, like the P. Diddy sketch on Chappelle's show, that sending them for Ethiopian breast milk on the other side of town, and before they can get, or he's going to shut the studio down. That's what those shows are about, right? And so the very idea that people would get advice from Donald Trump on how to conduct their business is at its root embarrassing. Mm-hmm. He's been a failure his entire adult life. He had a $300,000, I think it was, salary when he was 11, so his father could hide tax money. So he could avoid taxes. He ran the company into the ground and stole it away from his brother, and needed to borrow $56 million from the trust fund of his siblings just for operating cash, just to keep the lights on, not to expand, not to pay off some debt, but just to keep the things rolling. And when he ran out of money, he started looking for it in the sketchiest of places, and a lot of that is coming up in the next couple of years, and he does not have it. The money that he is gathering from his super PAC, which he's going to be using to pay his debts, is not going to be used to help get Republicans elected in 2022. It's an absurdity. Everybody knows this in the Republican Party, but yet there is this very bizarre thing where Kevin McCarthy and all these people are going down to Mar-a-Lago and kissing his ring. Now, are they really kissing his ring? Or are they effectively kissing the ring of the lunatic fringe of the Republican Party, the maggots and Trumpsters who will follow this man in a cult-like way? Is there sort of a ricochet off the kissing of the ring that you're like, I'm going down there to pay homage to Trump, not because I think he can give me anything, because he's going to spend all the money he gathers. His rallies are just going to be about him. Every interview he does is a gripe fest and a rehash of the fact that he lost the election fair and square.
Seriously.
It's so embarrassing. And he's now moved into, Grandpa has told the same 3 stories over and over.
Yeah.
And he tells the ramp story in every interview.
Oh, really? The one where he was walked down the ramp?
Yeah, that it was ice, and that it was pouring rain, which it clearly was not. That it was slippery like ice. That the whole thing, and that he ran the last 10 feet. Like, he's telling the story in almost like a tick. Like your grandpa tells stories, and you're like, yeah, that's the 3rd time we've heard it at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we know Grandpa.
Yes. So he does this. There's nothing to be gained from him in person. He's not going to give them some advice on fiscal policy or economics or how to get their version of what infrastructure should be through the process. He doesn't know anything about that, nor does he have any interest in doing it. He has now moved on to his own deals in foreign countries that he was able to kind of set up while he was president. That's what he's hoping for. Unfortunately, his best buddy, Vladimir Putin, may actually be ill. And therefore, while he's setting himself up to be president for the next, till 2036, that may have just been a show to cover the fact that he may not be capable of running the country within a year or two because of alleged medical issues that he has. So, when Kevin McCarthy and all these people go down, and McCarthy may be the odd man out in that he actually might believe the sun shines out of Donald Trump's backside. The rest of them go down to kiss his ring because they want the maggots and the Trumpsters to know that they are being heard. That this is how you do it instead of going to actual constituencies. Because if you go to talk to these people directly, if any of these folks go directly to the MAGA folks, they have to stand there while they yell stuff about Trump actually won the election and all this stuff. You have to stand. I mean, even Matt Gaetz, not too far from where I am right now, was doing one of these little mini parking lot rally things, and all of the questions asked were about he really won and hydroxychloroquine. I mean, they were cultists because that's the only, and they think that this is reflective of the Republican electorate. Not that it's reflective of the only people that are showing up at Republican gatherings now because everyone sensible has left. No, you know what I mean? Like,
everyone else is embarrassed.
Right. Why would you go? Right. So the Arizona Republicans, who apparently their election that got them their position was completely legitimate. The fact that they won their seat in 2020, that's completely legitimate. The fact that Biden won the presidency is illegitimate. The fact that a Democrat won the Senate seat, that's completely illegitimate. So, hence recount. So they are, they're down there right now over the weekend doing a recount, the 4th so far. And I've heard some reports referring to it as an audit, some as a recount. There are a couple of main issues, being that those are two wholly different things, and they are either doing both, one or neither, and it looks like in many ways they are doing neither, because I would, in watching all the Rudy Giuliani stuff that I have had to watch over the last year, and watching all the Trump wailing and gnashing of teeth that he has done. Their complaint is that these the ballot boxes in Georgia that were hidden under a table, which were actually tabulation documents that were uploaded so that Steve Kornacki had something to talk about that had nothing to do with actual votes being added or subtracted, but makes a great story because it looks like something sketchy happened after everybody left, even though there's cameras all over the facility, and they had to have known that there was cameras all over the facility, whatever. Like, they seem to believe that if there was a plot, that the people carrying it out would be as slapdash as that about the presidency of the United States. You know, that they would just go, oh, crap, wait a minute, there's security cameras in here? Like, that, really? That, you know, so, I mean, it was a coordination with multitudes of, I mean, Iran, China, Russia, all came together to manipulate black volunteers in Georgia so that after hours they would sneak votes in a county that Biden was clearly going to win anyways, like that kind of thing. So Arizona Senate Republicans are doing a hand count right now, a hand recount of 2.1 million Maricopa County ballots. They are doing this with no press observation. So all that stuff you hear about what, you know, the Biden administration not letting the press into the border facilities, the Biden administration keeping the, the press out of what, I mean, that's really the only one I've heard of because Trump did a lot of that as well, and they seem to ignore that. But the primary one being that they're not allowing the press in at all to view what they're doing. Now, there's a reason why you don't have close-up cameras on stuff as ballots are being counted, I suppose, because they're hand-filled out in Arizona and Maricopa County, and so, and thus
privacy.
brings, yes, privacy, exactly. The main problem, of course, being is that the one reporter who signed up as an observer was tweeting early in the day, and then they made her stop, that the volunteers were using black and blue, they had blue pens at their stations. And it says very distinctly in the rules of recounts and handling of ballots that there should be not only no electronic devices, people can't have their phones in and the like, but they also can't have black or blue pens because those are the pens that are used for the Scantron style documents that they run through the counting machines in Maricopa County. And so, for 3 days, Republicans who believe Trump won have these are not just random counters. These are not just, independent observers. These are people hired by and paid for Republicans who are using volunteers which are not independent volunteers, that are partisan volunteers. Every one of the people who signed up through this group to do this believes Trump won or should have won or did win or will win or is winning or is now the magic president of the new corporate, the Republic of America, and Biden is the president of the Corporation of America, that kind of nonsense.
It's harder and harder to conjugate those words.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's been a lot of splintering in these factions. But these people are partisan, and they spent the better part of 3 days since Wednesday doing a recount with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of ballots with blue and black pens right there that will, if they so chose, if they found a ballot that didn't have the presidency marked on it, let's say there was a Republican who didn't like Trump, so they just left it blank. Well, there's a free bubble. And they have every ability to fill that in because they had the pens available to do it, and that would actually work. And then they run it through the recount thing again. And magically, if we can find 10,000 of those in the 2.1 million over the course of however long this is going to take, there's no limit on it insofar as I know. Can we bring it closer? Can we say we found 1,000? So if we found 1,000, we can assume that we only found 10%. So therefore, nullify, therefore, full redo of the election. It will turn out the exact same way. I'm not concerned about this. I'm not actually concerned about the results. I'm concerned about the shenanigans. We have to take a break.
Right.
We'll be back right after this.